Aflag and Praise TV proudly present Right in Focus with Aflag.
Hello, have you ever imagined working so hard, dedicating your time and skill, only to be faced by a situation you were never prepared for? A situation such as your boss or colleague making sexual advances at you at work. Do you maintain your calm to ensure that you don't risk losing your source of income, that is your financial stability, or you voice it out and risk losing your job? Welcome to Right in Focus with Aflag, with your girl, Miss Nupe. Today, we are going to look at a very pressing issue, which is sexual advances towards women, and of course, sometimes a few men at workplaces, and what can be done about it. Right in Focus with Aflag, it's a show where we discuss pressing issues that affect women, children, youth, and everything that can help to promote national development. With me to unpack this topic is Madam Lucy Jatta. She is an HR professional and then the executive director of Luanda Consult. Hello and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Amma.
Okay.
Thank you.
Before we dive into the discussion, I want to acknowledge our sponsors. This show is brought to you by Aflag in collaboration with, of course, Praise TV, and also Oriental Resort Hotel located at North Legon. Now, Lucy, can you help us understand why this problem persists in the first place? Why do we have this issue of sexual harassment at workplaces?
Okay. Sexual harassment comes in play where there's two opposite sexes are available all the time. Where there are some people who feel they are trying to interact or take advantage of somebody or trying to play around with somebody. But to mere fact that the two opposite sexes are available, male and female, sexual harassment can take place.
Okay, because of let me say, because of our biological makeup, maybe.
Yes, biological makeup, male and female, and by virtue, male are more dominance. They have a dominance character sometimes where they feel like they should be, everything they say should be respected to them. But the mere fact that the most important is that the mere fact that we have both sexes available in an environment, in an office environment, and different characters that comes to play from different homes and different environments, sexual harassment is bound to happen.
Okay. Do you think that it happens because of the power imbalance that exists at workplaces?
Yes, sometimes it becomes a power imbalances, and sometimes too it's just a normal habitual character of somebody who has seen people doing it or has also done it and has always gotten away with it. So the person feels like he has the right to keep doing it. When I talk to a woman, hey, they should do something about it. But I also have to say that though we are talking more about the affirmative women action, men also get sexually harassed in the office.
Yeah, by their female bosses.
Not female bosses, sometimes colleagues and all that. But we get men to, but most of what happens is usually against women. The men is usually on a very minute, like I say, low percentage, but more of against women is what we have.
Okay, now as an HR professional, I want to find out, does this problem persist because most organizations do not have proper reporting mechanisms?
I would say yes and no. Before you report, there should be a policy. So if there's no policy that says that talks about sexual harassment and all that, then people are able to do the sexual harassment and get away with it. You can report, but because maybe there's no clear-cut policy on how to handle, or maybe people have not been trained on how to handle sexual harassment, then it can take place where somebody can get aggrieved. And then sometimes I fear that when I go and talk about it, I would be victimized. So
okay.
Policies and how the policy should be taken, people should be trained, and examples should be made of.
Okay.
That's what I get.
Now, I want to find out, what are some of the proper HR procedures, safeguarding tools? Do we have to ensure that every organization has safeguarding policies, safeguarding tools to protect victims or to protect employees?
Yes, because every organization should at least have a policy on how to go about it, so that when it happens, it doesn't find you one thing, so that you go all the way far to the legal framework. So what you need to do is to make a policy, internal policy that handles it. But before that, we have the Labor Act that talks about the right of the employer, the duties of the employer, to make sure that the employee is working in a safe and healthy environment, where you have the duties of the worker, where you should be able to make sure that your colleague is working in a safe environment. When you go to 14E, it talks about discrimination against gender. And gender is the first thing that comes out before the other policies. So you can realize that with the labor, although it doesn't explicitly talk about sexual harassment, make provision that you should be able to seek redress or seek help when there's sexual harassment. So what we put the policies, that the policy should be a zero tolerance of sexual harassment, state what sexual harassment is, procedures that you should do to sexual harassment, how to seek.
So mentioning procedures, what are some of the HR procedures when an employee is faced with this challenge by a superior?
Okay, when you are faced with this challenge by a superior, so that means initially we say you should report to your superior, but when you are faced with this towards a superior,
by a superior, what do you do?
Just walk straight to the HR and report. The HR is supposed to acknowledge receipt of your report.
But HR is also, though also a superior, but HR is also under the main boss.
Are you talking? If you are talking about, you see, they are superior. So if you are talking about the main,
so let's have a look. The worst case scenario, being sexually, getting sexual advances by the main boss, say the CEO, say the managing director.
Okay, you go and talk to HR about it.
Still HR?
Yes, because that is the first step you should take.
Okay.
The HR will take note about it and find ways and means of trying to invite the boss or seek advice from the boss to talk to the boss about it. It should be done within 3 to 7 days. And then there should be investigation and all that. Sometimes you go to the boss, he might accept and want to say okay, but if it comes out that the HR cannot do anything, you are advised to seek external counsel. You can go to the Labor Council, the Labor Commission. You can go to SRAJ that talks about sexual harassment. Then you can go to, we have the Domestic Violence Act.
So you are going into what a victim should do.
Yes.
If HR does not take immediate steps or does not take any steps to correct it at all.
Yes, because if it's a CEO, there's HR will need to talk to the CEO.
Okay.
Yes, so the HR will have to inform the CEO concerning the report that has been given to him. Depending on the tone of the CEO to the HR, if the HR reports to that CEO, depending on the tone of the CEO to that HR, it depends on what. If the CEO agrees to go through the legal or apologizes or anything like that, or gets a fine and he's spoken to, and the HR has to let the CEO know the consequences of such actions, the level of where the actions can go to. Okay, so either we do the internal investigation and redress it and caution him not to do it again. If he's willing, some people will not. You don't know. Let him know that if he doesn't stop, it can go as far as going to external, which can be SRAJ, Labor Commission.
What if that? So now, I think we need to address the main issue. The main issue here is not about reporting. The main issue that women face is about reporting and losing your job. Financial security is key. Financial stability is key for women as we push for women empowerment. So if I'm going to report and I risk losing my job, are there proper means or measures in place whereby I can report and still have my job, keep my job?
Okay, first, there are so many things that say protect yourself. You look at the environment you are, make sure that you don't get yourself alone with the harasser. Make sure that you have witnesses available, and make sure that you don't have meetings with him under closed doors, but you should have meetings with him.
Let's be practical.
Spaces. I'm giving you a practical statement.
No, so how do you avoid meetings with your boss? So your boss has his office and then he calls you to his office. Okay, which is where mostly these advances take place. He calls you to his office and you go like, oh boss, unfortunately I can't come to your office. How do you even
No, you
go
can
about
also
that?
tell him, you can also explain to him, okay? Explain to him, tell him you don't like it in a very professional manner. Say, I'm here to work, so please, if you kindly stop these advances, it will be okay. Or you have a way of putting it. Or you have to send him an email. But one thing that the harasser has to do, the person being harassed has to do is that make sure you are taking down notes of all
There
the
should be
harassment, and that
traces.
there should be dates, time, what happened. You are keeping records, you are keeping pictorial items, so that in case the harassment doesn't stop, if you try your best to avoid him, or if you try your best to let him know that you don't like the advances, when it comes to the case that you need to report, you have to be able to have this thing. Seek for support from the office. Maybe some people who have also gone through it, or some people who understand, who can support you. There are times your boss can ask you to break something, but somebody else can take it saying that you were not there, or you had to rush the washroom, so you are bringing it on behalf of the
But
person.
until when can you
So that is
continue
why
doing
we
that?
keep on doing it till you keep on taking all the documentations. Find it easy to go to the HR to report to the HR. So the HR, somebody has to be in the know. The HR has, but you don't have to be taking that harassment alone, and because your psychological, physiological well-being will be affected. Let your boss know the consequences if it doesn't stop. In case it doesn't stop and you are fired, the Labour Commission is there, because the Labour Commission talks about unfair dismissal, which is also covers in the Labour Act. So when you got the most important thing is for you to have proof.
Yeah.
So or you go to Shraj, or you go to Dosu.
Okay. Okay. Now let's look at it. Having been an expert in this field, have you encountered such either personally or maybe a colleague or something? Have you ever encountered such situation, and how was it handled? How did they go about it?
Well, I can say when I was in my junior years, I encountered something like that, but I have a way of getting myself out of this thing, because I don't want to. If I mention it, the people involved will get to know about it. So I don't want to go into so much directions. But it happens to me. I have to go and meet my bosses somewhere. Unfortunately, I was misconstrued, and I went early, and they said the person is in his room. I enter, he says, "Hey," I said, "No, sir. I'm sorry. I can't talk to you in the room. We meet in the lobby."
You were able to tell your boss that,
we meet
okay,
in the lobby, and then
you are risking losing your job. Do you
I know
that?
we meet in the lobby, and then we are waiting for the other one. I thought all three of us are having that meeting, so I'll wait for you downstairs. He said, "I can't come downstairs. Come and sit by me on the bed." I said, "No," and I said, "I'm sorry." So I walked downstairs, and luckily for me, when I walked downstairs, I saw my other boss was like, "What are you doing there?" I said, "No." I just went there. He says, and I just came down. He said, "Fine," but it got to a certain stage. My company had a lot of people who have done degrees, so the promotion was not there. So some of us were asked to resign, and people didn't understand how my name came in. It was far later on that a guy asked me whether I was also propositioned, and I was like, "Oh, wow." It was way back, like 2 years before I realized that. Oh, so I got into this situation because of that.
Okay.
It didn't. My mind didn't come because I didn't do my degree very early. I was working. I was learning as an HR.
Okay.
And I know so many people had done degree, about half of the people, and then who are you going to promote? How much? The company might not have money, so I was free to go, and I also wanted to spread my wings, so I was happy to do that. But it was later that a colleague asked me that was I also proposing. That's why I was like, oh,
come
I was
on.
also a victim.
That's when you realize you're actually a victim.
Yes, but it was. I didn't take it serious. I just let it go, because to me, I wanted to explore the waters, so I just decided to take it.
So hold the thoughts. We are going on a quick commercial break, but before that, when we come back, we are going to look at what specific policies that organizations ought to put in place to ensure that women and other victims are protected at all costs. This program is sponsored by Aflag and also supported by Praise TV and Oriental Resorts Hotel. This beautiful garden was given to us by Oriental Hotel, our sponsor, to have this shoot and bring you this beautiful discussion. For all your events, please do well to come to Oriental Resort Hotel at North Legon. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Thank you for staying with us and welcome back. Now, before we went on a break, we were talking about sexual harassment in the workplaces and what women or victims in general can do about it to maintain their job and not risk losing it. Now, we are looking at, now that we understand everything from the HR perspective, let's focus on the solutions, because at the end of the day, what we need are solutions. How do we create safer workplaces? How do we empower women to also speak up?
Well, we let the woman know that the person is not alone. You not victimize the person. But before that, as I said, there should be a sexual harassment policy that defines what is sexual harassment, procedures, the harassment to do what when you sexually harass somebody, the disciplinary action is supposed to be taking place, and how to assess disciplinary procedures, how many hours and minutes, how many days are supposed to take place. You know, so you have to give a timeline to everything that is going to be done. There has to be, the sexual harassment has to have you can have a sexual harassment committee, and then you can have a statement of sexual harassment posted, and then there should be training to all staff as to what is sexual harassment, why there shouldn't be sexual harassment, why they should tolerate each other, what offenses constitute sexual harassment. Sexual harassment, I would say, is the indecent sexual attractions to advances towards somebody, which is very intimidating and creates an offensive environment for the person. So it can be verbal, non-verbal, physical, quid pro quo, and online. So you have to let them know all these things. Maybe as they say, oh, today dear, you're looking sexy, your buttocks is running around, but you see, it's also something like
it's inappropriate.
It's inappropriate and sexual harassment. Or maybe it's sexual harassment. Even from a woman to a woman is not good. And then some people will say, some people want to touch you, and they come, then I'm sorry I spoke to you. They just come and hit your buttocks.
That is, for me, I think it's even the extreme.
That is a physical one. Yeah. The non-verbal one is when the person is like giving you verbal, like, you know, then they do some kind of fun gestures and stuff like that. But the physical one, the quick pro is when they want you to do something to get. When you do this, I'll offer your job, or if you don't do it, I'll lose your job. That is where it comes to this person above you, or maybe the general bosses. And then the online, the person is sending you things online, and then sexual videos, pornographic videos, and all that, all those things. So you have to really, really state what you mean by sexual harassment. And then you give training, and then you do random assessment of your office environment.
Just to add on to what the sexual harassment is, I think in this part of the world, people do not know or do not understand that certain things are not supposed to be done in the offices. And another challenge we have here is that we don't have safeguarding tools in offices that look at these things. So for instance, in an office setting, you are not supposed to be using words such as my dear, sweetheart. It is inappropriate. And people need to understand, when you talk about it, people feel you are exaggerating or you are going overboard, but it is inappropriate. My work husband, my work wife, it is inappropriate because for a corporate setting, everything has to be Miss, Mrs., Madam, Master, Mr. It has to be formal, so you don't, think otherwise about it. We need to be clear, because somebody may be calling you my dear, but for them it's nothing. But if you think my dear is inappropriate, you ought to put an end to it. Also, for me, the safeguarding tools I talk about, when you deal with international organizations, because I've dealt with some, you see that, yes, they have safeguard. It is a major requirement. Safeguarding tools. I'll come to some of the safeguarding tools that we can implement.
we make people to sign. When you do the policy, make sure everybody sign the policy so that you know that you have understood, you train, you understood, and you sign the policy. As I said, make example when during the training, most of these safeguard tools that come here should be in play.
Yeah.
That you are not supposed to say that. I work in a company. There was this Nigerian who came as an international staff. She was our boss. What you call her my dear? See, I'm not your dear,
yeah,
so don't call me my dear.
And that's what women need to do.
You just use her first name to call her.
That's all.
That is all. I remember calling somebody. I said, I'm not your dear, and I said, stop spoiling my market. I'm not your dear. See? And even I do this thing even with people outside office, because I keep telling them, stop that, because I am not your dear.
Your dear, yeah.
What perception are you giving?
Are you creating
people?
outside?
And people don't understand, because of our cultural settings, where we have been taught to know that women are, the man is the boss, the man can say anything. Such suggestive things is not right. You see in your home, you see somebody passing, your daddy who is hitting the person's, you see all those things, the person pick it up. But so it is true what we can say. Doing the policies, the safeguard tools are doing the policies, and then making sure everybody signs the policy, making sure the environment is zero tolerance. That's why I say you do an audit of your environment to see whether sexual harassment. You give a whistleblower, how do you call it, protection, so that people can easily go and protect. Making sure that the offender, when she goes and report, is not intimidated.
Yeah.
So you make sure your policies, you make sure that the managers are on the policy, so they should make sure that it's a zero tolerance. They shouldn't intimidate or harass anybody who has, and then even the harasser has no right to harass. The person has to go, and then the person will not get into, how do you call it, culturally, some people feel they'll be culturally I don't want to avoided or culturally disdained. Some people feel the office, they will be looked like an betrayal in the office. So all these things, what we can do is training and informing the people. If the people, they say, oh no, ignorance of the law is not an excuse, but you have to make the person understand, especially in our culture setting. In the multinational companies, that one is a key word. You cannot do. You cannot do certain things. Yes, there are first name basis for some companies that you use first name basis. Just my name. My dear, my darling, whether you are looking for something, today you are looking good, blah, blah. I keep telling some of my office people when they come say, I say, what do you want? You need a favor, right? Just go ahead and tell me what you want, because it will not, this way will not even gain you any grounds of getting what you want. See, you have to find ways and means of talking to your people to stop that.
Okay. Now, another thing I would want us to maybe talk a little on is what sexualizing somebody is. Because when you tell people that, when they give a comment and you tell them, no, you are sexualizing me, they think you are overreacting. But the truth is that you don't have to, it's not just even male to female or female to male. It can even be male to male or female to female. That those words that connote sexualizing a person, can we dive a little bit into that?
Well, sexualizing a person, sometimes one, it depends on the individual receiving it and the person saying it, and then the one behind watching. So if you are telling me, hey, what are they dear?
Meaning today your dress suits you, and then all your curves are showing. Yes, that's you sexualizing.
That's sexualizing it. I'm going down to this language because most of the time when they are sexualizing you, they are not using the English language. This is the preferred language you hear. Some of them say, oh, hey, today the makeup is wow. You see, and you see, you are sexualizing the person. After they say, hey, today your dress there is low, it's not good at all. You are sexualizing the person and also putting the person down, self-esteem down, which is also not good.
Which is not needed at all.
Well, needed at all. There are so many things they can say. They can talk about yourself, your dress, your perfume, but they say it in a very sexual. You can tell me, oh, you smell good today. It depends on how you say it. Hey, today, dear, oh, you smell good.
But about there was an issue on social media where somebody went for an interview, and at the interview panel, I don't know whether it was the interview or the interview, who made a comment about their perfume, and they felt offended. They felt it was wrong to do that. What do you think about that?
Yes, it was wrong to do that, but if the perfume is offensive.
No, it wasn't offensive, more like a compliment.
Okay. more of a compliment. Depends on how you do it, because your facial expression and all that. Because like today, somebody say, "Hey, you smell good," or I feel like it's sniffing you. It's kind of wrong. This is civil.
For me, I actually support that argument, because I think that if you go
but if I go for an interview, that is a no.
That situation should not even come.
No. That one is a no.
I think people do that to diffuse the tension at the interview room, but there are so many ways to diffuse the tension. You can say something about maybe the building, the setup, but not about a person.
You see, there are so many types of interviews. When we get there, we'll talk. But that one was no. The person was not happy about it. So she tells you, "I'm not happy about it." Maybe he's spoken to somebody else and the person hasn't taken offense. So he thinks doing it, but it's wrong. It's wrong.
Okay.
But I'm saying that if I am not, you see, there are some people who can tell you good perfume. It doesn't matter. Or maybe there are some people who can say, you see, there's a way you tell somebody you look good. And the way you look good, which makes it sexually. You get it? You see, or maybe we are...
For me, because interpretation is different. People interpret things differently.
Yes.
Just avoid it.
Yes,
that's what
because
I suggest.
especially if you are somebody who is always harassing me and you come and tell me that, I'll take it as one of your cues. You see, it depends. You see, yes, there's a treat then they say how to see. It depends on how to tell somebody he's abwane kwasia.
Yeah.
But that the person will be offended
or not.
Yes. So it depends on how you go about it. Yes, compliments. But if you don't want, then don't give compliments at all. Don't give compliments at all.
Okay.
At all.
Okay. So to bring our discussion to an end, please highlight how to ensure accountability from the abusers and also ensure financial or work stability for the victims.
For the office, what you can do is that there is a, how do you call it? There is a verbal, there's a written warning. Okay, then you put the abuser to training, and then sometimes dismissal. That is what the office can do, but the office cannot take any financial support. What we can do for
dismissal of the abuser.
Yes, it depends on the findings that you get.
Okay.
Of that, you said the abuser, so the person being abused will not get. That's the question you asked. So for the abuser, there's a verbal or written warning. It depends on the abuse. There is a training for the person to go for serious sexual harassment training, or there's a level of dismissal. It depends on the gravity of the harassment. Harassment can be done, as we said, verbally, non-verbally, physically. Physically, some can go as far as rape. Some people can even hurt somebody because they want to sexually abuse the person. Yeah. So it depends on the level that it goes. And there are some we can, if we feel it goes beyond the office, then we go either to the Labor Commission, go to church, the police, DOSU, and then all those other people. Because though we are here, the law of Ghana, Constitution 17.2 talks about the rights of the worker and the protection of the worker. So the laws of the country and most of our laws frown on sexual harassment.
Yeah.
For the person being abused, first what you need to do is do counseling. But we have to make sure that the proceedings that are taking place, the person will be able to be comfortable.
Yes, enough to
talk about it, and other people can come. A lot of counseling. And then getting maybe peer groups for, here we don't have peer groups, but seeking somebody who has gone it, look for support from somebody. Yeah. You should know that you are not alone. But you should know that you are not alone. Your dignity is more than the job. Yeah. And if it's sometimes you feel it's not okay, you can protect your job as an abuser by making sure you are performing well and taking down all the comments of your good performances. And then maybe look for transfers or try to seek other jobs underground. Depends on how you want it. But for the person who is the abuser, he has so many things. The disciplines aspect.
Seeking job underground will probably mean
for the one
you have
abused.
to move. Yeah, that's what it means. You have to keep moving from job.
No, you don't have to keep moving. That's why I said that. Know that you are not alone. Your dignity is more. Protect yourself by reporting the abuser. Yeah. The person harassing you, the abuser harassing you. But if you still feel you are not, some people, a little thing, they are not comfortable. Yeah. Yes, that is why we give the person counseling and all that. That is the worst case scenario. If you feel you can still, after all, we always want to explore. So if you feel it's time for you to explore, you can explore. Or you can look for transfer to another department. Or anything of that sort. But making sure we protect.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Lucy, for coming. Now, this conversation is not just about highlighting the problems, but about finding solutions. For me, I believe and I strongly hold that no woman should have to choose between their dignity and survival. Dignity is important and their survival is important. No one should put any woman through that. If it means we have to all come together to provide the necessary support to ensure that women are safe, their finances are secured, and their dignity are also intact. We have several organizations who do not have these safeguarding policies in place. They need to do that. Also, organizations need to ensure that they have whistleblower instruments or tools in place where victims can report this without facing the issue of losing their jobs. There are so many ways that we can do this, and because this is a serious issue, it's actually a canker that so many women are facing. But some, at the end of the day, because of survival, would have to still endure it, and it is not good. It goes against their dignity and their persona. Let's work together to do this. We need government to come in to ensure that the labor laws are actually in place to ensure safety for all women. Women should be recognized for their skills, for their knowledge, and for their expertise, and not how pretty they look, or not what a man or even another boss wants to get from them. Until next time, please do well to seek justice when you come in contact with such situations. Organizations like ours, Aflag, is here to help you, and we have other HR professionals who can help ensure that justice is sought for you at the right time to ensure your job is secured. Until next time, do stay safe and continue to enjoy Right in Focus with Aflag. I'm your host, Miss Nupe. Bye.
This show is brought to you by Aflag, Praise TV, and Oriental Resort Hotel.